Welcome back. We're still talking software development in Nigeria. And Mr. Oke, you were talking about the young Nigerian who needs to survive and then express his inner giftings.
Yeah, absolutely. Survival comes first. And if you look at the bottom of the pyramid, that is actually what exists there. The average person needs to eat, needs to have a shelter and all of that, first of all, before you can actually come to a level of fulfillment in terms of where the direction you intend to go in life. Now, if you look at the Facebook, the Googles, and the Amazons of this world, how have they actually done these things? It's actually, whether you like it or not, we will see a huge element of the government intervention in their various countries. Now, these people, these organizations, they have campuses. And within the campus, there is so much convenience and there is so much ease of carrying out their different activities and their different work. You can think appropriately there. You can actually do everything you intend to do. You can do it right within that environment. Young people walk into these places and they actually do their work. They are there for days without even realizing it. Now, government needs to actually do that, whether they like it or not. They need to actually intervene and see how they can actually help the country to go in that direction as well. If you look at our system, for instance, if you look at the law enforcement system, if you look at the legal system, even the education system, government can take advantage of all of this. You walk into an average police station in this country, you would not find computer systems there. At best, you'll probably find a laptop owned by one of the big officers there, and what will they be doing there is probably watching a movie or home video or something. Now, the truth is that we need to realize that there's so much gap in that system. Government needs to see how they can actually, look at this police and the law enforcement system. How can they take advantage of the software development skills of the Nigerian youth? We know how some of these things happen, from the journey from when a criminal is caught to when the criminal goes to court and when the criminal is imprisoned. All of this picture, by the time you fuse them together, it actually can be backed by a software, and it can actually go around the country, and you can actually automate the law enforcement process. And at the end of the day, it's better for the government, it's better for the people, and it's better for the youth. If you look at the legal system as well, our court system is actually almost in shambles in terms of the documentation that they actually have. You will see when you're actually requesting for certain documents in court, they have to go through large registers and all of that. Imagine if our banking industries were operating in that light. You walk into a bank, for instance, and they bring out a big ledger and they start looking for your name in alphabetical order and all of that. It's actually going to be quite frustrating. So all of these things are things government needs to realize. We cannot continue on this trajectory. We would get nowhere with this. So we need to actually empower the youth.
I really need to come in here, Mr. Oke, so that, because there's something you just said there. You were the one that mentioned the question of the trust factor. Now, there is this unwritten law, so to speak, or unwritten pattern of behavior that if something is labeled, and Mr. Okeremi also mentioned it, something is labeled made in somewhere outside the country, it is rushed after, and then if it is made here, nobody wants to look in that direction. Now, yes, there have been applications and softwares made in Nigeria and are being used in some places. Do you think, how quickly do you think the leadership in the country can buy into those applications or softwares to run the database that is so badly needed in our systems?
Now, if you remember very well, several years back, if something is labeled made in China or is labeled made in Taiwan, it creates some kind of worries. I mean, you look at it that, how can you trust this particular product? Be it a physical product or a software product or a hardware product. You wonder, made in China, made in Taiwan, but if you say made in USA, made in Germany, or made in Japan, for instance, you actually, be at peace with that product. Now, it doesn't just happen just like that. There will be that level of distrust like we presently may have, for some time. Now, it's up to us to actually be consistent in what we do. It's up to us to improve the ways we do what we do. It's up to us to actually see how we can put in a whole lot of quality control and quality assurance as we move forward in most of the developments that we do. Over time, I believe this trust factor would actually become a thing of the past. No country got there in one day. No country got there in 1 year. The government can decide to actually develop like a 5 years plan. And the way or the story or the narrative of 5 years ago or 10 years ago that people were worried about whatever came out of Nigeria will become a thing of the past. So it's all about being conscious about what we're doing and be able to see the vision of where we intend to go with it. If we do not do that, then we'll keep going back and forth, and these trust issues will be something that we'll have to live with, and it will definitely take us nowhere as a country, as a people. And by the time, that alone, if government decides to take the bull by the horns and bring about the right policies, bring about the right enabling environment, they bring about the right people who would actually, champion the cause of whatever they intend to do regards this industry, I'm telling you, it's actually going to make an impact over time. But you see, by the time you look at how we approach or how government approach these things, you will understand that because somebody that is trying to make a change or trying to bring about something in a matter of 6 months or 1 year down the line, because he's actually shaking, because these things cannot happen without shaking the system. The person has actually become a victim and is actually being pushed out of office. All of those things can be bound to happen. But if we actually, take ownership, or government take ownership, and they look at it that, look, let's look at 2 or 3 generations down the line, and if things continue to retrogress in this manner, then we are in trouble as a country. So the moment we begin to see that picture, then we cannot begin to sit back and be able to do the right planning and be able to do in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of underground infrastructure, overground infrastructure, and even wireless infrastructure. We begin to build all of those together. We begin to have both public and private sector participation in this. Zuckerberg came to Nigeria and it was like a celebration. The truth there is that we have quite a whole lot of young people who can also do as good as these guys. Look at the football sports sector, for instance. If you look at the footballers, Alex Iwobi, for instance, he plays for Arsenal. If Alex Iwobi were to be in Nigeria, for instance, he'd probably be going about the street searching for jobs. But right now, that guy has been able to prove himself. He's been able to be part of the first team of a football club, and is actually doing very well. Now, these are the things that government needs to learn from. We cannot continue in this using this formula that we're using right now. We need to actually change the formula totally. We need to see how we can actually, support the hubs, bring about large-scale intervention, bring about large-scale funding. Whatever we're looking at, right now, refineries are being refurbished. If you look at the amount that goes into the refurbishing of refineries, for instance, a fraction of that amount can actually be put into the knowledge economy. When you put that into knowledge economy and you begin to actually measure progress, I can tell you that the knowledge economy will do better than the oil industry in the next 4 to 5 years.
All right, thank you very much,
Oil producing countries are...
It's okay. Let me just put you on pause so that we can come back and bring in the other guests here in the studio. Aleo, you wanted to ask a question to Chineye?
Yes. I said, Chineye, there's no doubt that IT is the way that the world is going now, and we can't be left out. If we restructured our educational system, for instance, would that in any way help us to join the global trend?
It goes beyond not help. I mean, that's the fundamental. That's where it all must begin. And I can't speak enough about that. I mean, I'm the deputy president of the Nigeria Computer Society. In July, we're going to have a conference, our annual conference. And the conference is titled Smart Nations, Digital Economies, and Meaningful Lives. Okay. These 3 elements go together to create what underpins all of this is education. Because, it's as I said earlier, in a knowledge economy, what is called the knowledge economy, it's called the knowledge economy because knowledge is the key factor of production. And once you don't have enough focus on that, once you haven't created enough value around the education system and the outputs of the education system, then you have a disconnect between where you want to go as an economy and what it is that the imperative is of the global environment in which you're operating. And I want to put it into three different buckets, right? First of all, is that every education system is focused on driving a set of values that are derived from the philosophy of that nation. So if the nation says, we are this, and in order to be this, these are the 3 or 4 or 5 values that drive this. Mm-hmm. And you take those values and then you embed it into your education, because that's how you build that component. Mm-hmm. So if the United States says, for instance, we are the greatest nation on earth, and we are so because we are inclusive, we welcome everyone, we promote the best, we celebrate the best, we create liberty for the individual to become the best that they self-actualize. Mm-hmm. It cascades into the system. And so I can go as a Nigerian and want to be an American. I want to be an American not because of a geography, but because of this vision that I'm locking into. Mm. And you enter there, and the first thing that happens is that as a child, if you went to school in the US as a child, through the movies, Captain America always wins. Right? It doesn't matter what film that is there that comes out of Hollywood. America always wins, even when the color of the skin is blue. The person who saves the day is American. Even in Black Panther, it was, So you look at those things and you can see that there's something that is being told. There's a narrative, like Ile was mentioning, that is being pushed, and it's being pushed through every single means. Education doesn't always happen in a classroom. It happens within the family system. It happens in a larger community. It happens through the literature. It's expressed through the creative arts. So to build that capacity, first of all, there must be this focus. The second thing that you now have to do is then ask yourself, what can I leverage in our environment to be able to create that capacity? And I'll tell you, this circles back to technology. So here's a picture. Simple, numbers. We claim 10.5 to 13 million children out of school. We have a population of 180, 190 million. Every single day, our schools and our school system must bring into a classroom, quote unquote, between 40 and 60 million people every single day. If there are 40 people in a classroom, then you can calculate the number of physical classrooms that you need to have. Yeah. And so we say we will never build enough physical classrooms to train everyone. And if we cannot build physical classrooms to train people in academic, technical, and vocational, what then do we do? The answer has already been met by others before us. There is a massive deployment of technology. So they go to virtual classrooms. So you have MIT OpenCourseWare. You have the Hinari network that provides all the educational materials that you need. And most of these things globally are free. So if today you wanted to have an education on your own, what would you need as a Nigerian child?
A computer.
A computer, or a viewing center, and a connection to the internet.
And
our number one challenge...
We have completely run out of time.
And we don't have that. So our number one challenge...
Yeah, we have run out of time.
We've completely run out of time.
We could go at this for a day or two.
I know we could. Thank you very much for coming. Mr. Chinenye Mba Uzuku, Deputy President of the Nigeria Computer Society, as well as Mr. Yele Okiremi, President, Institute of Software Practitioners of Nigeria, and Mr. Adebi Oke, Project Director, Silicon Base, who joined us from our studio in Abuja. Thank you all very much for coming.
Very much.
Thank you very much.
Sunrise will return with the home stretch in just a moment. Stay with us.